It seems like low key, the Senate is already feeling the heat of a captured state and they are complaining. It seems like just that they are using parables and innuendos to complain, but the complaints are already in the air. And considering what happened yesterday with the Senate, remember that first you heard that there were issues of the land grabbing petitions that got to the Senate, and then they moved the motion that to halt the FCT administration led by Emperor Nyesom Wike to stop further demolitions, and then in their own language, except those that have been ordered by the courts. It means therefore that there are some issues. Now, this video I'm about to show to you now, it's a furtherance of that particular situation. Obviously, they're already complaining, and I'll allow you to see this video first, then I'll come back and we'll talk some more.
I was there at Soko in the meeting, and Julius Berger refused to come. They have been doing it in the 9th Senate. Most people summon Julius Berger, they refuse to come. And I urge this Senate to punish them. They cannot be doing this. If they're a construction company, they must listen to the parliament. It's not only Julius Berger. Even some of our ministers are not answerable to the committees. And they will insult our chairman. And they will insult people working in the Senate. You will invite a minister of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Some of them will not listen to the chairman of your committee, Mr. President. And enough is enough. We should query these ministers and ask Mr. President to drop them. How can a chairman of a committee be looking for a minister for 2, 3 days, 4 days, they will not answer phone? So they are doing the same thing Julius Berger is doing. We are protected under section 28, 88 and 89 of the Constitution as amended, 1999 Constitution. We cannot be taking this. This is a parliament. Unless they want us to be a study area, we become a study area. We are lawmakers, and they should respect this place. It's not only Julius Berger, it's also your ministers and DGs. Many chairmen of parastatal, including some of the federal government parastatal. The chairman have been telling me, I will go for a committee meeting, I expect to see a minister, the minister will not come. And I'm not the chairman, I can't do anything. It's a hard time that any minister, the parliament must put a performance record for all the ministers. And we must report to the commander-in-chief. Because we are not here for jokes, Mr. President. Please, I want to thank my colleague, Osambu, for bringing this motion. Because it is annoying that you will send us to do something and we'll be looking for a minister. I called one minister throughout yesterday because I had a meeting and message from my committee. That minister have not answered now.
Okay, so I think that's a tip of the iceberg that the Senate already agrees that there's a challenge, even if they are tackling the symptoms instead of tackling the problem. What the symptoms are, this one, they are now enforcing that Julius Berger, as a company that is doing business in Nigeria, they are angry, they are bothered. It doesn't happen anywhere else. I'm sure even in small nations or sovereign societies like Ghana, some of these things that are happening here cannot happen there. But because we have soiled our hands, are the senators not the one these guys are collecting, giving money to? They are giving kickbacks. They sign contract and they go behind them. How do you expect them? You mean that the MD, Julius Berger, as a private company, would not answer the red chambers, would not answer the apex legislative house of a country? That can this happen anywhere else? Would you hear of this rubbish happening? But because these guys have soiled their hands. And here Ojuzokalo talking about the ministers not honoring their invitations, him calling the ministers. I'll tell you, I would explain this with a story that my family pastor, Reverend Stephen Ahigbe, back then growing up, did share with us. And it's a very powerful story, and it was very heavy. He said there was this king that was loved by his people, and the man was loved by his people, committed to his people, was doing so much for his people, but he had a weakness, and the weakness was women. And so there was a particular girl that he liked and he wanted to have, but of course it was difficult to have the girl to had strong disagreement about getting involved with the king. In one of those instances, when he set his guards to get the girl struggled and struggled with them. Something happened and the girl died. The girl died in the process of struggling with the guards. And so they ran back to the king and they told the king. So the king felt very terrible. But guess what? But because the king has already vowed that he must sleep with that girl, the king asked them to lead him to where the girl's dead body was. And then the king was led there. The king left and came back in the dead of the night to come and sleep with the dead body of that girl, to fulfill that his desire to have slept with her, even with his dead body. While the king came back at night and was sleeping with the dead body of that girl alone, and hunter probably had went to hunt and then was just probably going back, sighted somebody sleeping with doing that in the bush, got close and discovered that it was the king, saw him and then ensured that he saw that it was him. Then the hunter left. In the morning, the hunter came knocking at the king's palace and of course greeted him with the fact that I met you, I saw you, remember you saw me. So the king asked him what he wants because the king would not want that kind of information. Considering the second that led to the death of the girl and meeting the king in that order, it would definitely affect the king's reputation. The hunter required to be made a chief, and not just made a chief, made the highest ranking chief in the palace. And no decision should be taken henceforth in the community or the kingdom without him. In 24 hours, this hunter that was a strongly man became the highest ranking chief and the prime minister of the community. Everybody began to talk. And guess what? To considerations of smallest matters, even to additions of extra block to the fence of the palace, to everything, the hunter became in charge. Everybody became dumbfounded, seeing that this hunter was deliberately now leading. In short, they now began to see their king as a puppet because the king could not say anything. And the hunter gladfully took charge and was enjoying all privileges. So one day, the king called for the people and said he wanted to speak with them. And the hunter, as usual, came into the palace and said, King, what's happening? I heard you called for a meeting and I'm not aware. I told you nothing should happen without me. What are you talking about? He said, don't worry. This meeting is about you. You will like it. So the hunter, hearing that, said, oh, maybe honor wants to be given to him, an extra honor. The hunter called for his own friends and family. And they came. The palace was now full with community members. But guess what? The murmurings were high. This is not so. We don't know what he wants to say. Maybe now. So on that particular time, when the king came before the people, he said, my people, you know me. You know I used to be a very powerful man. You know I'm a very loving people. You love me. And I know I love you too. You know. And they said, that is who you are before. What is not happy? He said, my people, don't worry. You know me, because anything I want in life, I get. Just the way it was difficult to get in this world. Why? I said I must get to serve the people. And that's how, there is nothing I cannot do. And they went on to extolling and pouring hypes on himself. And in one of those instances, he said, I have done so much that if I want something, I'll get. Killed somebody, and I slept with the dead body. They shout, king. So that's why there is nothing I have not done. If I say you have forgiven me, won't you forgive me? Say yes. So that we can at least have our kingdom back. Nearly dropped that story. The hunter began to pull off all his regalia, all the beads, all the honor, all the things that were used to adorn him. He pulled them off and walked away back to his bush to continue hunting. Because the lie, the secret that kept him in office has been revealed. That's all. What has given powers to all of these MDs, these companies, these ministers, is that they know that there are cons in the pocket of the senators. If you were supposed to be the one to screen them, if getting this job was, they were told that the Senate has to screen you and screen you properly. If they don't, if then they will honor your invitation. They will take your course. They would ensure that all agencies and parasitors and ministries get to know that the Senate has an oversight function over us. But because they were told from the villa that whatever I sign is approved, who are you? Until the Senate remove the coins in their pocket and expose the secret that these ministers know about them, the money that they have siphoned, the contract that they share, The committees that we are talking about now, some of these committees also call ministers say that road there. I know say that money not reach one concept also. If the minister coming for a public hearing goes to your office first to give you small tea, and you said the minister to call him, if you call him in January, he will come in March, and when he get time, he take up. This is what has messed our system. So when some of us are asking that we should do the right thing, this is it. This kind of scenarios will not be happening. A chamber empowered by the constitution to have oversight functions are now complaining that the ministers that they have oversight functions are do not respect and honor them. Come, the everybody pocket. Until we are ready, we will be ready.